Hey guys, welcome to my tomato garden. In today's video, I want to talk about why my garden does so well and why yours can too. With that being said, let's get this video started. Alright guys, let's start from the beginning. I've been gardening for about 20 years now, and I've always done it the same way for the last couple of years. You plant seeds, you plant it in dirt, you grow it, you water it, you give it artificial fertilizer, put pesticides on it when it needs it, and you get vegetables and fruits. It's instant gratification. But the last couple of years, I've been doing my research and doing my reading, and I found a way better way to do it. So let's talk about it. Like I said before, most of my gardening career, I planted my seeds in dirt. Now dirt and soil, you'd think those are the same things, but they're not. Dirt is pretty much just a lifeless substrate you put seeds in and then put artificial fertilizer on to get your instant gratification. Whereas soil is full of life. Microbes, worms, rogue beetles, fungi, all that stuff. It's your soil food web that supplies the nutrients it needs right to the root tips, called the rhizosphere. So what does this mean? Well, basically, the big ag way of growing stuff is completely wrong. If you want an instant fix to something, yeah, you can throw on instant fertilizer and you'll get results, but you're not creating a healthier plant. It's like somebody that eats unhealthy every single day. Let's go to Krispy Kreme, let's go to Burger King, and then take some pills every day to feel healthy. Or we can do it the other way. You can exercise every day, you can drink water every day, you can eat lean meats, a ton of greens, and you'll feel better. Everything will be better. The soil food web is quite amazing. If you look at what worms can do on just this 40 by 20 foot bed I have here, they can probably move 10 tons of dirt in the season. If you have healthy soil, if you have a healthy population of microbes, then you'll have a healthy population of worms, and therefore you'll have a healthy population of insects that eat worms. And then after that, you'll have a healthy population of spiders that eat those insects, and so on. So the soil food web is super beneficial to your garden. The next thing I stopped doing was rototilling. The first thing I did when I wanted to start a garden, I went out and bought a rototiller on Craigslist and rototilled the garden, bought peat moss, manure, and everything I thought I needed for the garden. Yeah, it did okay. I put like 10 pounds of fertilizer on it a year and a little bit of compost here and there, and I got some vegetables, but nothing out of the ordinary. And then I changed things. This year I decided to not till, and there's a night and day difference now. What you do every time you till your garden is you're destroying the microfungal networks that connect the roots together. Yeah, there's 100 different tomato plants in here, but if you really look closely, every single one of these is actually connected together by a fungal and micro network that delivers the nutrients it needs right to the rhizosphere, as I talked before. And once you till that, it's gone. It takes months to get that back. And not only that, when you till your garden, you're killing earthworms. You're going to destroy all those eggs in there. What do worms do for your garden? Well, worms go around and they eat all the dead leaf litter, and of course they eat the microbacteria because that's how the food chain works. And what they produce is called worm castings. Now worm castings are probably one of the richest things you could ever put in your garden, especially if you actually feed your worms the right thing. Hair from your dog or a human is actually full of chitin, which is pretty much the same thing like a horn is made out of. And the higher the chitin content you feed your worms, the higher the microbe content will be in the soil afterwards after the worm castings are produced. The third thing I stopped doing was watering my garden a lot. Now that sounds a little funny. I don't water my garden a lot? Yeah. It's July 4th right now, and I've watered my garden 2 times. Once, when I planted all my tomato plants, and the second time when we had a drought of about a month without rain. But other than that, I don't water it at all. You know why? Watering your garden actually creates weaker plants too. Every time you water your garden, the roots will stay dormant, and they never need to search for water because there's always a supply there. But if you don't water your garden, your plants will naturally dig deeper into the soil and create a healthier structure and more surface area for microbes and the rhizosphere and the cation exchange to happen. You're going to create more opportunities for nutrient uptake to make healthier, stronger plants for you. The fourth thing I do now is I mulch everything. And this is easy. If you mow your lawn, you have mulch. If you have leaves in your yard, you have mulch. If you have pine needles, you have mulch. You just need to spread it down. A nice 1-inch layer here will create the perfect protection from the sun and actually keep your soil nice and moist. It'll allow all the microorganisms, worms, etc. to thrive in here. It'll also give the bacteria, fungi, and worms something to feed on throughout the year. And by the end of the year, you're going to have more compost in here when you started. Best part of all, leaf clippings are free. Leaves are free. People throw on them all the time. You can go collect leaves off the side of the road for free. That's what I do. Another thing I do? Well, let's start off with this. Whenever I go to Lowe's or Home Depot and I see people buying their own compost for $5 or $6 a bag, I definitely laugh a lot. You gotta use the local resources available to you. I have a place called the Endicott Composting Facility that I go to for all my composting needs, and it's completely free. So the town of Endicott decided it's cheaper for them to make compost and give it out for free rather than hauling all the leaf debris that they collect on the side of the road to the dump. So, with that being said, I'm there all the time and it's quality stuff. They have their own windrow machine, they turn it all the time, it's well broken down, and I get it by the truckload for free. Here's another thing I changed. My whole life, I thought seeds were seeds, but then I started doing research. Seeds are not just seeds. Some seeds are cross-pollinated with genetically modified seeds. Some seeds are crossbred, hybridized. And then I found heirloom seeds. What is an heirloom seed? An heirloom seed is anything that pretty much has a 50-year or longer heritage to it. Take the Brandywine tomato. That was produced in Pennsylvania in the Brandywine Creek about 80 years ago. And it hasn't changed since. The Cherokee purple tomato goes back to the Cherokee Indians and the Tier Trails, 200 years or so. It's amazing. These seeds just haven't been touched by big ag yet and hybridized, so there are their downfalls to them. A lot of them aren't disease resistant and you really have to baby them here and there with certain things like tomato blight and a few pests here and there. But if you follow the soil food web design, you really don't have to worry about pests, because another pest will take care of that pest, and another pest will take care of that pest, and so on. It's the circle of life, just like the Lion King. So, anybody who's paid attention here has noticed I've listed all the ingredients necessary to make a forest. That sounds a little silly, but think about it. A forest doesn't get tilled. A forest has a ton of leaf litter and mulch on the bottom. A forest doesn't have a steady supply of water besides the rain, but it still does good. Why? Microorganisms. And that's why my garden does so well, and yours can too. So, I've given you all the tips I use in my everyday life to garden. Now it's up to you. Do you want to work smarter or harder? Do you want to follow big ag or follow nature? Big ag didn't create plants, nature did. I'd go with nature. With that being said, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more, go ahead and subscribe. And if you really love my content, make sure you turn on those notifications, with notifications on all the time, not sometimes. And I'll see you next time. Greg Baer out.